Anne Claire. How are you doing today?
Hi, Meg. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good, just living life.
Well, I mean, birthday season is finally over, so you can chill.
Sort of, yes.
I feel like January for you was extra intense because obviously we had the doors open for the Recovery Collective. So that's a bit extra stuff on our end. But then it feels like every single week you had like 5 birthdays.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's spaced out in my family. Everyone is born in January. It's not even funny. It's legit. So that's good. All the birthdays are out of the way for the year. Actually.
It's good for your budget too. It's like, oh, I'm done.
It's good for my budget, except in the moment, you're like, will end. So now that it's over, I am feeling way more relaxed. I do have COVID right now. So that's kind of add some flavor to my end of birthday season.
I mean, it's funny you say it's adding flavor. I'm really hoping it doesn't take away flavor. But
not. That would be like the worst thing ever. Not the worst thing, but kind of scary. But I've had a mixed experience, like very low grade symptoms here. Not 100%, but it's just like one of those things where you're like, I feel like some days I could just be normal and act normal. And like, I wish I could go out and socialize and stuff, but then you're just kind of stuck inside because you have COVID. So it's been a weird experience.
Oh, well, I hope you feel back to actual normal soon and that no one, gets the wrong version, the really harsh version of it.
Yeah. So far, everyone, there was definitely some sort of patient zero in my circle because everybody I know got it at the same time. Mm-hmm. So thankfully we are all like nothing too intense happened. A few high fevers, but.
Well, so basically this is the most exciting thing for you today.
That's
to
all
see
I
me
have.
And talk to me. It's like, no, Unclear. Come on.
I love our morning recordings. I look forward to them every week.
Well, I do too. I'm not going to lie, because we always talk about exciting plans before or after. So it is like a little pocket of sunshine in the week.
Yeah, exactly. I like your red sweater, by the way.
Thank you. I'm not going to lie. I was wearing something white and then I sat down and then I was like, basically blend in with my wall at this point. So I actually changed right before this call. And I opened my dressing cabinet thingy. And I was like, okay, let's grab something that is colorful. And that was that. So
it looks nice.
I know you did not ask me any question about this, but now you have the random useless story on top of the compliment. This is me trying to receive it without saying, it is not going well.
That's okay. Whenever people compliment me on my clothes, I feel the need to tell them how great of a sale I got it for. So that's how I receive compliments.
Oh, yeah. I used to do that. The problem is I've had this for so long, I would not be able to tell you. It's pretty old. So,
You got to say thank you and graciously move on. But
I'll do better next time.
We're all learning. I appreciated your story about the armoire and wearing all white and blending into the wall. It added some more flavor to this experience today.
You're welcome. Now, because I feel extra awkward, can we speak about the question for the day?
Yes. Okay.
So someone reached out and basically shared that they feel like a burden to their friends when they reach out. And they're asking if we have any tips to help with that.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that that's a really difficult feeling to experience. It's not a fun one. It's one that I hear often in the recovery community is this hesitancy to reach out for help because they're afraid they're going to burden the people around them or that their treatment and everything that they're doing for recovery is a burden to the family. And I just want to say that is just not a fair assessment of what's happening here and reassure the people listening that you are not a burden, but it is such a difficult thought to battle consistently. What are your thoughts?
It really is a hard one. There are different layers, and I'm sure we'll get to that, because sometimes we have good reasons, as in like we've received feedback in one way or another about how it might be heavy, it might be tricky, it might be difficult. But at the end of the day, I agree, no one is a burden, and everyone deserves whatever help, support they're receiving. And I hope that the fact that we mentioned so many people are confronted with this thought and this feeling, one, makes you feel a bit less isolated in that experience, and already helps you see how that is you being human and having a human experience. Struggling is a human thing and needing help is a human thing. And I hope that the rest of the conversation helps you also sort of guide you a few steps away from that thought and that feeling, so that hopefully it's not as heavy on your shoulders and your heart.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah.
So what would you say? Like, where on earth would you start with this thought?
With this thought that you're a burden. Well, the first thing I always like to ask a person who has this thought is, how do you usually feel when people who are really struggling ask you for help? And I know when I answer that question, I usually feel appreciated, honored, happy, relieved that people are asking me for help, because it shows that they trust me. First of all, it's kind of flattering to be asked for help. Mm-hmm. Second of all, it's a relief, because you realize that this person isn't going to be struggling on their own anymore, and that they're coming forward with something that they want to heal or get better or alleviate for themselves, right? And so when I think about being asked for help, I never think, oh, this is such a burden for me. How dare they ask me for help? As someone who cares about that person and loves that person, I want to make sure I do the best I can to support them. So think about if the roles were reversed. I always like to start out that way, because usually you recognize like, oh, why? Like, it's unnatural to go and say, oh, this person's burdening me now.
Mm-hmm. No, I love what you just said. And it is so true that, like, it's nice when someone comes out to us and asks us. And I feel that that's even more true now, actually, for me, that I feel more able to set boundaries. And we'll get to how to make sure that you've got several people that you can reach out to. But I feel like even when I'm unfortunately sort of like, quote unquote, clueless, and I don't feel like I have the things to give, I'm still so happy and honored that they came up to me. And because I am relieved that I'm like, even if I don't have the things to give, I can be like, okay, I'm going to try to help you find the person or the thing that can be helpful in this situation. And that also makes me happy. Like it's not just, I don't see that as my responsibility to fix something. I feel like it's more an opportunity for me to show up for that person that I clearly care about, because, that's kind of why they came up to me.
Yeah. I think pointing someone to resources is just as valid as, helping someone in a more direct way, Mm-hmm. One thing I also want to bring up, I can imagine there are a lot of people listening to this who feel like they have always been the person people in their family go to for help. And they're like, it repulses them at this point. Like, some people take on so much responsibility that hearing like, oh, I'm not going to be excited if someone asks me for help. And so if you're having that reaction, I want you to ask yourself, where have your boundaries been crossed in the past, right? So where have you been saying yes to things that you didn't want to say yes to? And what's on your plate that you can take off so that you don't feel so heavy with what your responsibilities currently are? Because I know many of us have genuine hearts. We authentically want to help people who need it. And if your immediate reaction is like disgust or annoyance when someone asks for help, it's probably because you've felt violated or your boundaries have been crossed in the past by this. Like, it's been overdone.
Mm-hmm. And it is true that again, sometimes it's not about asking too much. Sometimes it's asking the wrong person, the wrong moment, the wrong way, the wrong thing. And that's okay. That still does not mean that you're a burden, right? Sometimes it's any of those other things that need shifting, not in any sort of way a validation of the fact that you're too much, asking for too much, or that your needs are invalid, right? And so, like, I know, I think I was sharing this example earlier. It's like sometimes, like, if someone, to give like a simplified example of this, if my best friend came up to me and said, like, and Claire, I really, 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 really need €1 million, I would be like, you know, like, I don't have that. Like, I can't. No, like, it's not that I don't care. It's not that that friend is a burden. It's not that whatever the need is for that amount of money, it's not that that's invalid or wrong or anything. It's just, I don't have it. You know, that's different. Like, me saying no isn't me having an opinion on the fact that that's an okay request or that it's not okay to come up to me. It's simply, I don't have that to give, right? And this is the whole, I mean, obviously here I'm talking like in monetary terms to sort of reduce the emotional intensity of the situation, but it's the same with the boundaries thing that you're saying, right? Sometimes people can't give, and that's okay. And I feel like that often means that, you know, whether we have been that person or we've done that to someone, which is okay, by the way, we all learn. So, you know, I've definitely done that. We need to make sure to take a step back and be like, okay, who am I reaching out to? Who am I going towards when something's going on and I need talking, venting, help, support, accountability? I don't know. You know, I don't know what is needed in this context, but check in with yourself. Who are you going to talk to? And how do you reach out and what comes out of it? Because if we're going into the territory of, I'm going to someone and sort of like dumping a lot on someone, I can imagine that actually feels bad on both ends, because that probably doesn't even feel good. Like, I know that when I do it, when I have done it in the past, it also hasn't felt good for me to have done it, because then it's like, ooh, yeah, you know, kind of like that was really heavy. And that maybe means that there are pieces missing in your support system, kind of like professional pieces, I mean.
Well, you bring up a really good point in that example, which is there are people who are going to be more equipped and better prepared for your needs, right? So you should think about your support system and reflect on, okay, who is this person and what are they good at? Like, what are their skills for supporting me? So for instance, say you have a best friend who's really good at giving you reality checks, right? Like, maybe she's the person you're going to go to when you're confused about something. But then your dad is really good at logistical stuff. So he might help you with like calling insurance or giving you rides somewhere or something like that. So it's like you pick what that person is good at and ask them for those things. You wouldn't go to that person who is your like insurance caller and ask them for an emotional conversation. Right?
Actually, you know what? I would add to that, like, literally write down names of people that are in your like surroundings and add, you know, what is this person good at, blah, blah, blah. Add, what is this person bad at? And also list the people who are people you should not reach out to. I'm not kidding. Like, I have people who will forever be champions. I will go to them with the shittiest idea and they will be like, yes, like they will pump me up. They will kind of like, you know, but I know that that's not the person I need to go to if I need a harsh reality check or something. But, you know, there are people who are specialized in always bringing my ideas down and always like, I will bring up something that I'm excited about, and they're going to be really good at adding like, yes, but have you thought of that? And this is risky and that is stressful. And I'm like, thanks. Like, that's not helpful. You know what I mean? So like add everyone in your list and be clear on who to reach out to for what and who to not reach out to, because they have a proven track record of maybe not being the best person.
Right? Like, so I think it's helpful, like, just to remember that utilize your resources. Asking for help is resourceful. There's no shame in asking for help. Like, I like to think of it as it's an intelligent use of your resources. How is that a shameful thing to do? Like, honestly. And so again, like, check in with who's going to be better at what, and also leave room for your team. Remember that your team is crucial to this piece of like recovery as well. So if you do feel like, oh, well, I don't need a therapist because I'm just going to talk to my boyfriend about my eating disorder. How is that going to be beneficial for your relationship in the long run? Like, consider professional help for the things where professionals are actually trained to be there.
And that is showing compassion to the person that you're talking to, because honestly, how hard is that, for your significant other to realize that they can't help you? Of course, that's hard for them. And that might come up in, when you're having a fight or a discussion and things are already heated, and then comes back up, and then it's hard on both ends, right? Like that's going to feel icky. And that just made me think of one thing. When I help someone out, not only do I feel good, but one way to make me feel like extra freaking amazing is when someone then sends me a little note and says like, oh, thank you for helping me out. Or like, thank you for that call that one day. I think it's human, right? I think it's normal, but like, it makes me feel like not only did it certainly make me feel good at the time, but then having that person say thank you. Like, I'm not going to lie, this is not my idea. A friend did that for me once. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to thank people when they do things for me. And so since then, I tried to like do that too. But it really made a difference in how I had felt, so much so that I was like, oh my God, why have I not been doing that? So if someone feels like that might actually make them feel like this is a way to reciprocate already a little bit when someone else helps you out and you say thank you to them, showing that little bit of gratitude. So I'm just throwing that in there in case.
I love that idea. It always feels so nice to either be the receiving end of a little thank you card or send one out, or maybe send flowers or a thoughtful little gift. I know I've had clients who don't owe me anything. They do not have to send me a thank you. They do not have to send me a gift. But I've had clients send me little gifts and I'm always like, I want to frame this card. I want to put this thing on my desk and always remind me of how far we've come together as
girl, I'm not going to lie. I have a little, on the retreat, we had envelopes with little notes from everyone. I have several of those. And then I have an entire little box with cards that I've received or notes. I have a freaking cooking book that someone sent to me, and I glued their note so that every time I open it, it's there. It's just this is such a little thing. And yet, it's so important that we're holding on to it because that's how much it means. So love that. Yeah. I personally love that.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, remember that asking for help is important. It is crucial in recovery. You should not be doing recovery alone. You can be a little strategic on who you ask and how you ask, but just remember that it's usually welcome. The people who care for you and love you are going to want to help you. Asking the wrong people, that might be why you've had bad experiences in the past. At the end of the day, if you can align with the right people, you're not going to be feeling like a burden.
Yeah. I love that. There really is a way to reach out and honor both your feelings and someone else's feelings, for your needs and their availabilities or what they can give. And everyone really deserves to experience that. No one is supposed to do this life thing, even less so recovery thing, on their own. It's hard enough as it is. So,
yeah. Lovely. All right, Anne-Claire, I think we can wrap this one up. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You guys are all fabulous. Please leave your comments below. Please leave your questions so we have ideas for future content. We love to hear that. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.